Hello everybody, I hope you guys are all doing super well. Sorry you haven't heard from me for a while. Quite a few things got in the way. Of course the holidays, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. Also got sick, which was great fun, feeling great now though, so no problems. And then Kim was in a car accident where her car was totaled. A guy ran a stop sign. Now Kim is fine, the car not so much, so a couple of headaches. Great way to start the new year. But all of that, of course, is behind us now. Let's go ahead and get to what you guys have been waiting for, which is more work on this beautiful place. There's some really cool things to show you guys this week. So let's get into it. No greater place than to start with the sunbursts and the scrolls, and this stuff is starting to look absolutely amazing. So Eric, of course, took all of this stuff back. He went back to his shop and assembled it all. He sent me some videos, and I need to still go through them and figure out everything, but he has way more detailed information on how all of this is put together, what his process is, and how he's doing it all, which I'm sure has a lot more insight than I can give you because, well, I didn't put it together. And I am not quite the craftsman that Eric is, or Claire for that matter. But these two pieces are starting to look absolutely amazing. You could have seen a lot of the little dots that were on this. Those were from the fasteners. I wood filled them again with a Sarco glazing putty. So it should stand the test of time, just like glazing putty does in windows, and have a bit of flexibility, which is definitely needed when wood like this expands and contracts. And actually the wood this is all even on is 3 separate pieces, because if it was one during the expansion contraction cycle, this would actually pull itself completely apart. But since this paint is wet, I think I will show that to you guys next time around. Now for the scrolls, last time I showed you guys these, they were all one solid color. I've got the green now in them, so you can see kind of the full picture of how they're really going to turn out. And they are absolutely stunning. Again, combo of these two things. Again, these at the bottoms of the dormers, and this at the very top, this whole sunburst pattern. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And as you can see, I mean, it's just absolutely stunning to look at, and hard to take my eyes away from it when it's in the room. Even when it's competing with this beautiful tile floor here, it still sticks out as being something particularly beautiful. Eric and Claire really have outdone themselves with this stuff. Eric is also currently in possession of the smaller sunburst, so that's going to get worked on here very soon. So we'll have both of these sunburst patterns that go on top of the dormers done here relatively soon. This one obviously is pretty close, but right now we're currently building out the sills for the actual windows themselves. So the very bottom portion of the dormer, we have to build that out of some very rot resistant wood, because the sill that was there now is almost nothing. It's basically gone, and essentially we're going to work our way up to attaching the sunburst here, and man is it going to really shine. So you can't be unhappy with kind of progress like that, because you know, when you see pieces like that to come out, they really do take your breath away. Just absolutely stunning work. It really is going to be something to see that back up there, and just really crowning this really beautiful house again. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to share it with you guys. But let's move on to the next thing I got going on this week, which is a massive project I've been working on, which is the shower down here. So as you can see, a huge amount of work has gone into this, and actually we are very, very close to having a functional shower. But let's get into the individual components, shall we? One thing that got missed on the shuffle around here is me building out these two walls here. Essentially because the floor was nowhere near level. It was a lot like this floor over here where it was absolutely destroyed and terrible. So building these walls was super fun because there wasn't a straight line here at all. So I had to create one and actually built these two walls floating and then actually drove bolts into them and then poured concrete onto those bolts so it would actually hold these walls strong. So the walls are actually bolted down to cement. I also had to pour some self-leveling concrete down here on the floor just to make a shower basin work at all. Obviously, if all of the water is running towards the corner, it's never good. Then of course we come to the addition of drywall. Probably one of the only spots in the house I will be getting it, but when we're talking about a shower enclosure, having this blue board, or as it's known here in the US anyways, blue board, used to be green for some reason, but it's just mold resistant drywall. And then the orange stuff here is a product called Schluter-Curdy, which is just a waterproof membrane that you can put tile directly on. This entire system actually is entirely waterproof. Even the corners or the edges here all have what's called Curdy band, which basically just keeps the entire thing as a waterproof envelope, including the shower pan, which is actually really cool. So the shower pan itself is actually pre-sloped down to the drain. So as long as your subfloor is level, the slope of the pan will allow everything to reach the drain so you don't have any water buildup anywhere. Of course, I did double check it with the level, make for sure everything was good and everything was sloping towards the drain. Turned out great. And also the shower curb. So all this stuff is one big waterproof envelope. Now let's get into the really beautiful elephant in the room, this tile pattern. bought all of these tiles. I actually bought individual sheets of white and black, and the reason I did that mostly is just cost. If I had somebody do a pattern similar to this, it would have cost a fortune. And yeah, there are little tiny mistakes, like the gaps not working and stuff like that, but this is a pattern that repeats pretty well. And if we look at it, in comparison to the original floor down here, this mimics it really well. I think, you know, I think they feel like they belong to the same place. They make sense in this context. And I think this shower is going to be absolutely stunning, and I cannot be happier with how this floor turned out. Now, if we do get closer, you can see that not all the gaps are perfect. Some of the tiles are slightly twisted and slightly off and slightly wonky. Most of them are pretty good. Most of them, of course, are pretty straight and pretty good, but occasionally there's like one or two that are ever so slightly off. But again, if we look at the original floor, that's the case here too. Some of these tiles have slightly bigger gaps, or they're twisted or turned or just off. And so, honestly, having things not be exactly perfect has a bit higher air of authenticity to me. So when I did do this, I didn't set out to make a bunch of huge gaps or anything like that. But when a tile would get slightly twisted or off or something like that, I would let it be. And I think that's probably about the ethos that the original builders of the floor I'm standing on here probably followed as well. You know, you want to try to be as accurate as possible and to get things as perfect as possible, but that's not always realistic. Especially back in the day, you kind of did what you could. You did your best. Any of these really beautiful mosaic floors you see, really around the world, especially these little 3/4 inch square tiles or penny tiles, you will find some part of it that's ever so slightly off. And in a weird way, I think that makes it more beautiful. I don't know, maybe that's just me personally, but I think it's really pretty. You can see the hands that made it. And there's something really to that, an innate beauty in that. You can see the movements of the craftsman, let's say, and it's beautiful. So might not be for everybody, but that's an ethos I try to kind of preserve around here. Also over here to the side, you can see there's a missing 2x4 between these two, and that's actually on purpose. I have to put a little access hole here to get to the plumbing back here, and I actually have an old little door from a piece of cabinetry that I'm going to insert into there. But since this already had to be an access panel, I made for sure to route all the plumbing back here, so I had shut-off valves individually for the shower. So if anything were to go wrong here, I can kill just these lines. Currently they're killed, they're not actually fully hooked up yet, but working towards that. And of course, then we have our clean out access here, which is important that you never bury this stuff completely. You always have to have access to this plumbing. So this is a nifty little cabinet. So I haven't put that board in yet because I have to make for sure the door fits, and then there has to be a frame for the little door as well. So this is the little door here in question. It's just a little piece of architectural salvage I was able to save at a house that was being torn down. But it'll make a nice little access door for this area here. And again, stays with the aesthetic of like the doors over here. I think it'll just look brilliant. Not entirely sure if I'm going to completely scrape it and repaint it to match the color of the beadboard, which of course is this color here, and that's how that wall is going to look, essentially exactly like this. And actually I do have all of that beadboard, so that's a project that's coming very, very quickly down the pipeline. Also, yes, I know it is trash day tomorrow, so I have a very full can at the moment. As opposed to making this fully blended into the wall, I kind of wanted to make it stick out a bit more. Yes, it is just an access panel, and yes, curious people will probably open it when they see it, but that's all right. Maybe it doubles as a very small utility closet for a broom or something, I don't know. But having the independent shut-off valves for the shower, I think, are a must. All of the plumbing I've done here in the house so far has all had independent shut-off valves, because if one of these antique fixtures I put in sprains a leak or has problems or something like that, I don't want to shut the entire house off from water. You shut the area off, isolate the problem, and then fix it. So trying to think in the future with everything I do here, at least trying. It doesn't mean I always get it right, but trying. Another weird thing you might have noticed here in the shower is this little hole up here at the very top next to the needle shower. That's for a grate. So I purchased these two grates for this reason. I'm thinking at some point this thing might produce quite a bit of steam. Of course, I don't know, I haven't run it yet. But if it does, I prefer the steam to go that way. The reason I want it to go that way is because this is the room that has the window. But if anything, I think aesthetically it will look good. I have noticed needle showers with these grates. Now you've seen the shower and how everything's kind of going in there. Let me show you kind of what the end product is going to look like and what the end product for some of the other parts of this room are going to look like. So let's get into that real quick. All right, so here I have a little mock-up of what the tile in the shower is going to look like. These are 4x8 subway tiles. They are just from my local big box store. I believe these are from Lowe's here in the States. They're pretty generic, pretty basic. One thing that's really lucky for me is this old school subway tile is still very much so in vogue at the moment. There's a lot of people that use it. It's fashionable, and it's also quite accurate to the era. Although one thing I can say about this style of tile is it's not perfectly accurate to the era. One main reason for that. If we come down here to the side, you can see on the edges here that they are beveled. Essentially, back in the day, they had perfectly flat subway tiles. Now, I can still order perfectly flat-edged subway tiles in the same size. Not a problem at all. The problem is the cost. For all the field tiles just being the main white ones here, not any of the decorative stuff, for just the field tiles to do the shower in this style, it's about $300. Now, it costs 10 times more to do the perfectly flat ones. It's around $3,000. And as it stands right now, I have way too many holes in the building to be able to go out and spend $3,000 to have an edge that isn't ever so slightly beveled. If it were maybe double the cost, I think I could maybe figure it out. I just couldn't believe how ridiculous the price increase was for having perfectly flat edges on subway tile. It just, I don't know, it seems crazy to me. Same thing with the decorative elements. I think these are like $6 or something from Lowe's, maybe $7. The comparable ones I saw that, again, are a little bit bigger, sure, that I found on those other sites are around $40 to $50 for one. So again, we're talking maybe $60 to have a crown or $400 or $500 to have a crown molding around the top of your shower. So, luckily, again, this style is still quite fashionable at the moment because I don't know if I could have afforded this project otherwise. Too many other projects here going on to be able to drop that much money on a shower. Again, this is also my plan B. Originally, I wanted to put marble, surround the entire shower with marble, which would have been really cool and also quite a bit more common for needle showers themselves. A lot of needle showers did that, although this is a common style as well. But I couldn't find any salvage marble that was a large enough slab to be able to use in there. And getting new stuff is just prohibitively expensive. I mean, think about the dimensions, 36 by 7 foot times 3. Well, that's a lot of kitchen countertop space when you're talking about marble. So this was just the best idea to get me a shower up and running quickly without completely draining my accounts. We like having electrical and gas to heat our house here, so I didn't go too crazy on this stuff. And again, that's the same reason why I bought all of the floor tile in sheets like this, and then took the black and the white and mixed them and made my own pattern, because that reduced the price by probably half. And it was a really fun project, and I got to customize it to my space. So a few different reasons for that, but it was a really cool project. Lastly, in the shower, I did find a light that I think will work. And for those who are screaming at their screens, no, this is not a period accurate light. This is probably more of a 40s, 50s light. But it's kind of the closest I could find that was damp rated. And again, the shower will probably kick up quite a bit of steam. We need something that is damp rated to go in there. Now, at some point, I do hope to find a ceramic light to go in there. Basically a no frills, really basic ceramic fixture. But for right now, this will work just perfect. All right, guys, so that's pretty much going to do it for this episode. Again, I know there was a huge gap between episodes, and that was never my intention, but sometimes life gets in the way, But there's a whole lot of stuff coming up for you guys this year. I have a lot of things planned, a lot of things I want to get done. Obviously, me and Eric are going to be continuing on this Mansard roof, and by the end of this year, for certain, this girl's going to really look good. I've got tons of stonework that's coming up. I'm going to be trying my hand at doing my own slate and copper flashing, all of these things that make the home not only waterproof, but beautiful. Also, since I'm almost done down here with this room now, the old vet clinic, I'm pretty certain Kim and I will be moving our operations from the parlor down to here, and this will make a pretty lovely living space. But what that does is it frees up not only the front parlors, but also the back dining room. And I really would like to get into those rooms this year and see if I can get some of the really beautiful grand rooms of this house back in together and looking absolutely stunning. I've been tinkering with a lot of the off the beaten path rooms, and yes, while these rooms that I've been messing with the most were the absolute grossest in the house, it's time I think we start dealing with some of the more beautiful, intricate, amazing rooms that sets this house apart from many of its contemporaries. I think the old girls owed that, and you guys as well. Also, before I let you guys know, I will be wrapping up this season here very soon, which means you guys will get a full comprehensive thing that happened over like the last year and some change that season 3's been going on, into one, probably 40-50 minute long video that kind of explains everything that's happened over this period of time, which, even though I think in the moment for me right now doesn't feel like as much as I'd like it to be, I know it's still quite a bit of progress. So as always, guys, thank you guys for continuing to support me, for continuing coming back and checking on the old girl and checking on the progress. It's been an absolute pleasure showing you guys this house and showing you the progress and showing you all these wonderful things that are happening and getting the feedback from you guys and inspiration and articles and history and the amount of stuff you guys dig up for me and just how much you guys do for me and Kim is truly astonishing, and I am forever in your debt for it. So thank you guys so very much. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. New year, new start. Let's go. Let's get it done. I'll see you guys all next week. Please take care of yourself. Happy New Year's. See you then. Bye-bye.